Hi fam, welcome back to Anonymous Diaries, the space where hidden truths are spoken out loud and where we give a voice to the parts of life many of us are too afraid to admit. These are real stories shared by real people, and though they are hard to hear, they remind us that we are not alone in our struggles. Today's story comes from Ada. She says she has never told anyone this secret, not her closest friends, not even God. She has carried it quietly for years, but today she wants to confess. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This story is inspired by a real anonymous post shared online. We have fictionalized the details, including the name, to create a fuller narrative and protect the identity of the individual involved. Now, let's hear Ada.
My name is Ada. The name sits heavy in my mouth today, because the woman who bears it is a stranger even to herself. For 6 years, I have carried a secret so dense it feels like a physical stone in my chest. I've never said this out loud, not in hushed whispers to my friends, not even at the silent, desperate prayers I offer to God. But this silence is suffocating me, so I am writing it here, hoping that by giving it air, I might find a way to breathe again. 7 years ago, if you had asked me to describe my marriage to my husband David, I would have used words like solid, joyful, blessed. Our love was the easy kind, full of shared laughter, inside jokes, and a comfortable rhythm. He was a brilliant civil engineer, and I was building my career in marketing. We lived in a modest flat in Ikeja, and our weekends were our sanctuary, filled with trips to the cinema, the beach, or just lazy afternoons at home, and the shared dream of one day buying a piece of land and building a home for the children we planned to have. David was my anchor, the man whose belief in me was often stronger than my own. Then came the storm. The construction company he worked for went through a massive, brutal downsizing, and David's name was on the list. Just like that, my husband lost his job. The light in his eyes dimmed. The confident, optimistic man I married was replaced by a ghost who haunted the rooms of our home. In the beginning, I tried everything. I would cook his favorite meals, pounded yam with vegetable soup, only for him to pick at it silently. I tried to start conversations to pull him out of the fog, but he would just stare at the television, his mind a million miles away. He stopped touching me. First, he stopped the casual touches, the hand on my back as I passed him, the arm around my shoulder on the sofa. Then everything stopped. We started sleeping like strangers, a cold, empty gap between us in the bed. The silence in our home became deafening. It was a loud, aggressive silence, punctuated only by the hum of the generator or the distant sounds of Lagos traffic. I felt utterly, devastatingly lonely. It was a peculiar kind of loneliness, the kind that can only exist when you are right next to the person you love most in the world, yet feel completely invisible. I was a wife in name only, a ghost in my own marriage. Hi, if you're still watching, thank you. Please take a moment to like and subscribe so this story can reach someone else who might be going through something similar. Let's continue. So my work became my escape. The office was structured, predictable. My contributions were seen and valued. And that's where I started spending more time with Emeka. Emeka wasn't a predator, and I wasn't looking for an affair. He was just there. He was the colleague who'd noticed my new hairstyle when my husband hadn't seemed to notice me at all for weeks. He was the one who would drop by my desk with a meat pie, saying, "You look like you need this." His attention was like water in a desert. It started so innocently. A joke shared by the coffee machine, a quick chat about a frustrating client. He saw my pain in a way David, lost in his own, couldn't. The line was crossed on a rainy Tuesday evening. We had stayed late to finish a presentation. The famous Lagos rain had started, turning the roads into rivers and making the journey home a nightmare. We were the last 2 people in the office. The air was thick with unspoken things. He told me I was strong, that he admired how I was handling everything. And when he said it, looking at me with such intensity, I finally broke. The tears I had been holding back for months started to fall. He held me, and in that moment of profound weakness and vulnerability, I let a comforting hug become something else. It only happened once, but once was a monumental, life-altering mistake. The moment it was over, a wave of shame hit me so hard I felt physically sick. This wasn't me. The cheapness of the encounter, the betrayal, the sheer stupidity of it all. It was horrifying. The next morning, I went to work, my heart pounding with shame. I told Emeka it was a terrible mistake and that it could never happen again. I ended our lunches, our chats, everything. I blocked his number. I became a ghost to him, just as I had felt like a ghost in my own home. I threw myself into praying for 2 things: for God to forgive me and for David to never, ever find out. And he didn't. About a year later, the storm in our lives finally broke. David got a call for a new job, a senior position at a more prestigious firm with better pay. It was like watching a black and white film slowly bloom into color. The light returned to his eyes. His laughter filled our home again. He became the man I married, but even more tender, more appreciative of me. He would often say, "Thank you for staying with me through that darkness. I don't know what I would have done without you." Every time he says that, the stone in my chest gets heavier. Every time he looks at me with those loving, trusting eyes, the guilt eats me alive. He sees a strong, loyal wife who weathered the storm. I see a coward who sought shelter in the wrong place. I wish I had waited. I wish I had been stronger. I wish I had found a way to love him even when he couldn't love himself or me. The irony is, I have the marriage I always dreamed of now, but I feel unworthy of living in it. This is my confession, not for sympathy or for judgment, but because I know someone out there is where I was 6 years ago. Lonely, invisible, and tempted. You are sitting next to a partner who is lost in their own pain, and someone else is offering you a hand. I am begging you, please don't take it. Your partner needs you, even if they can't show it. Talk to them, even if they don't answer. Cry, scream into a pillow, pray, go for counseling. But please do not do what I did, because the temporary comfort is not worth the permanent, silent weight of the guilt.
That was Ada's story. It's not an easy one to listen to, because it reminds us that temptation does not knock on the door with a warning sign. It slips in during moments of loneliness, weakness, and silence. What stood out to me most is that Ada doesn't share this for sympathy. She shares it as a warning, a reminder that one moment of weakness can leave a lifetime of regret. But there's also hope here, because sometimes healing begins not in hiding, but in confession. Perhaps you're listening to this and you are wrestling with guilt, shame, or the ghost of something you wished you hadn't done. Maybe this is your moment to choose a different path. Write to someone you trust. Speak with your partner. Seek help. Pray. Healing is not immediate. It's messy. It takes time. But stepping into honesty, that's the beginning of freedom. And remember, nobody's marriage is perfect. Nobody's life is without struggle. But honesty, patience, and love remain stronger than temptation. This has been Anonymous Diaries. Thank you for listening, and until next time, remember, your story matters.